Hello and welcome back to the Introvert Circus. So this is a little bit of a different video. I wanted to make a memorial video. This is the memorial garden in our backyard for Charlotte and Mercury. And so I wanted to make a video about Charlotte. That's my tattoo of her that I carry everywhere in the world with me, and I get to bring her everywhere I go. But this is a video that I wanted to make because we are last week was a year from the day that Charlotte passed, and it was also would have been her 9th gotcha day. So it was also the anniversary that we adopted her. And so I wanted to just share some of my absolutely favorite video clips that I have of Charlotte. I don't have as much video as I wish that I did, but I have quite a bit. Charlotte was an incredible dog. She was an incredibly difficult dog. She was an incredibly wonderful dog. If you follow any of my social media, you probably know a whole lot about Charlotte. Charlotte, in a nutshell, was the most challenging dog I have ever had the honor and privilege of sharing my home and life with, and also probably the most joyful dog I've ever known. She was found when she was, we don't know, they think maybe a year, maybe 3 years old. It was somewhere in probably between there on the streets of North Carolina. At the time we adopted her, they thought she was only maybe a year old, but we've come to think that perhaps she was older than that. She had a litter of puppies, and she had managed to keep her puppies alive. She was an amazing sport dog. She was an amazing trick dog. She also had lots and lots of challenges. She was pulled from shelter in North Carolina, where she was found, because of the puppies. She failed all the temperament tests, but they pulled her because they thought it was because she was a nursing mama. It wasn't. She had a lot of issues, and she was transported to New York City, where we found her and fell completely in love with her. And from that day forward, Charlotte defined everything about my life and our family and our world, from where we lived to the work that I do. And I am so, so, so grateful for the world that she opened for me. Charlotte loved life. She loved snow. She loved carpet. She loved toys. She loved learning. She went from being a street dog to a champion trick dog. She brought me back into a world of dogs, and specifically dog sports and training, that I thought were lost to me. And she lived a really full life. When we adopted her, the promise that we made was that we wanted to make her world as big as we possibly could. And I think we're able to do that. She hiked, she climbed mountains, she swam in the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. She had a whole lot of fun with everything that she did. She treated every day truly like an adventure, and I always try to do the same thing. Charlotte was an amazing dog who opened up entire worlds for me. So these are some of these video clips. This is with her sister. She's learning how to close the mailbox, I think is what we were working on here. She had so much drive and so much interest in trick training and sports, and she loved her sister. Getting serious for her was an amazing, amazing time. When we adopted Charlotte, we were living in the middle of Brooklyn, in a co-op apartment building with 101 units, and she loved our life in Brooklyn. We spent almost every day in Prospect Park, which is the biggest park in Brooklyn, but it was also really challenging. She was incredibly dog reactive, and Brooklyn is a hard place to live for any dog, let alone a dog who has a lot of feelings about the existence of dogs that are not part of her family. And the biggest issue was that our co-op building became really dog unfriendly really quickly. And so we sold our apartment and we moved to outer Brooklyn. And this is the little tiny Brooklyn yard that we bought for Charlotte. And it was her oasis. And it was the opportunity she had to have her own yard that was just hers, and she could run, and it enabled us to get serious so that she had a sister to play with. By this point, Merc, my Chihuahua mix, who she'd played with a lot when he was younger, had started to really slow down, and this was her world, until New York became too hard for her, and we made the decision very, very quickly that because Sirius needed knee surgery and Charlotte emotionally couldn't handle living somewhere with the amount of thunderstorms that we had in New York. We were homebound with her. Her primary trigger was the shift in barometric pressure. Not even so much the sound of thunder, which was particularly challenging to mitigate. She was medication resistant, panic, and was a danger to herself in storms. And we made the decision to sell our house in Brooklyn and move cross country to give the girls a better life in Portland. And so that move was, the timing of it was, this is in Prospect Park, both about Sirius's need for knee surgery and Charlotte's mental health needs. And she was an amazing, amazing dog. She loved parkour. She loved tricks. She loved having the chance to explore things. Here she was at the training center where I was an apprentice agility instructor. Snow in Brooklyn. She was just an amazing dog. And every day for Charlotte was filled with joy, and that's something that I try to carry into all the work that I do, especially my work that is supporting people who have challenging or reactive dogs. We always called her a Wookiee because she made Wookiee noises, and here where she was, one of her gotcha days, she got a stuffed Chewbacca. It was her absolute favorite toy of her entire life, probably. And I love that I have these little bits of footage to include in here, but Charlotte really charmed people. She helped people to understand their dogs better. She helped people to understand dogs with challenges better, and everybody who met her fell in love with her. She has a fan club all over the world of people who followed her progress and her journey and her life and her adventures and cared so deeply about her. People that would message me weather forecasts, if they saw a storm coming in towards where we were, to make sure we knew about it and were on top of it for her. She just had a way of pulling people to her and with her. I was messaging with our sports rehab vet this past week, which, around the anniversary of Charlotte passing and her gotcha days. We had pictures, and we were talking about the last year of her life. She had herniated discs in her back, and the emergency room vet said that we should consider end of life, that she was never going to walk again. And thankfully, we had an amazing relationship with our sports rehab vet who had helped Sirius recover after surgery on her knees. And we were able to get her in there within 48 hours of her herniation. And the minute we got there, we were meeting with her in the back yard, the grass area behind the clinic, because there were lots of dogs in the clinic. It's a very small clinic. And so our rehab vet is incredible, and she's super aware of needs of reactive dogs. And so she met us back there so that Charlotte wouldn't be so stressed. And Charlotte, who at that moment couldn't walk entirely, crawled into the lap of the rehab vet who had been sitting across the grass from us and just nestled into her lap. And our vet immediately fell in love with her. And the great news is that Charlotte regained the ability to do everything she loved. So the last summer of her life, thanks to physical therapy, she was able to swim. She was able to hike. She was able to do tricks. She was here with some footage from her in rehab. She fought so hard for absolutely everything in her life to regain, her entire life. And then, in the last year, to regain her ability to do the things that she loved. And Charlotte, is such an inspiration to me. I can't remember if I said this in this video, she passed from very, very fast moving cancer. She was really, truly fine almost one day and then gone the next is what it seemed like. We went from diagnosis to her passing in just under a week. It was an incredibly aggressive, fast-moving tumor that was impacting her ability to breathe. And we made that decision that it was in her best interest, that it was not operable, and there was really no way to for her to have a quality of life at that point when she couldn't breathe. And so it was very sudden and very shocking for a dog who was so vibrant. And she was the kind of dog that, even when, 7 or 8 months before her herniation, when she'd herniated her discs in her back, there was no question that she was in it. She was still fighting for absolutely everything. And those are the kinds of lessons that I take. And I'm so grateful that I have the footage that I have of her playing, because there's a lot of people that saw the hard parts of Charlotte, through my magazine articles or through the work that I've done. And I want to make sure people always center and see the joy that she had, that she loved to play, that she loved to learn. She was an incredible collaborator for me. Truly, I wouldn't be working with dogs full time. I wouldn't be writing about dogs full time if it were not for Charlotte. She opened so many worlds for me. Here was my trio pack. This is at a beach in Brooklyn, hanging out. She loved to swim, but she really loved to wade. She loved to catch crabs. Her absolute favorite thing was to wade in water if we were at the beach, right up to her chest, and just watch the world go by. So I just wanted to share some of these amazing video clips that I have of her that show how much fun we had. And I'm sorry if you didn't get the chance to really know her, but if you want to learn more about her, I talk a lot about Charlotte and our journey together in my book, Healing Healing. Link is in the description box below. I'm also working on a couple of book-length projects that are about the lessons that I learned from Charlotte and the worlds that she opened, and what I think she taught me that is important about working with really challenging dogs. And I hope that I'm able to share some of those lessons in the future. I'm hoping to have some publication news about that book soon. And yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it, please subscribe. It is a little different than most of our content, but I just wanted to pull back these memories. Here she was at physical therapy rehab after her herniated disc, and she was so excited to get to do trick type things and parkour like things that were part of PT with her vet. She was just so happy to be, you could just tell, getting back into it. She was a dog who was so incredibly self-aware and in tune to the world, and she understood when people were there to help her. She was a dog who could have, should have, absolutely had so many issues with people, and she never did. She loved people. She understood that people helped her. I think at every sort of juncture in her life, she had so many challenges, and I can't, it breaks my heart to think that this dog once was living on the streets. And I'm just so, so grateful that I was able to have her in my world and in our life, and that we all found each other and she got to be our family. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will be back tomorrow with another day of Vlogtober footage.